Hello everyone, good morning, welcome back to Gwent. My name is Rooster and this is a monsters deck which we haven't played in a while. So I thought it was time. I crafted a couple of cards and this deck has proven to be surprisingly resilient so far. So I wanted to show you the deck and show you a little bit of gameplay in it. But first, let's talk a little bit about how the deck is supposed to function. So the main matchups this deck is actually looking for are the Northern Realms token spawn decks that are quite prevalent at the top ranks of the ladder, as well as the Scoia'tael is. Well, the usual Scoia'tael decks are also a very decent matchup for this. Of course, the deck does require some practice. And it took me most of yesterday to get acquainted with the deck and get a somewhat decent win rate with it. So what we've got here is a Gale's deck list, which we've got over here, and that might look a little strange because Gale's is usually associated with decks that spawn a lot of tokens at once, usually absorb decks with Arakaze and all the like. But this one generally only uses scales on maybe 3 minions at once. So what we've got here are the Foglets, which come in 3s. We've got the Wolves from Woodland Spirit that come in 3s, and the Shadows from Gone's Rodin that also come in 3s. And if you use scales on either one of those, then he provides between 12 and 15 value, which is actually quite reasonable for a leader. And also manages to handily play around the possibility of your opponent having Geralt Igni and just blowing you out. So generally the theme of the deck is to not overcommit, to save a decent board, and then force your opponent to commit more resources into it than you have. The deck also includes 2 Griffins here. I'm not sure if 2 is actually required, but they have proven to be quite decent, especially since Skellige is making a resurgence, especially at the mid-ranks, so they're proving to be quite useful in there. These are used to steal key minions from your opponents. They're really good against Roach, especially some decks running Olgierd, although he's not that prevalent anymore. So basically that. And against Scoia'tael, they can also steal Aromancies or other key spells that you don't want them to reuse with Aglaïs. Besides that, just a few efficient minions such as Garanthir. I'm including Merktebrake here, but that's by no means a necessity. You could also run something like a King of Beggars in here, which is quite useful. There's an option to include, well, Frost Giant I wouldn't recommend. Mostly cards that I don't have. I would perhaps run a Silver Weather card in here. If only the 2 I have right here are Fog and Rain and Frost and Rain, and we really don't want Rain in this deck because we kind of want to leave our Siege Row alone. There is the Aromancy here that I've replaced it with, which can be Rain in a pinch, which is actually quite helpful. As well as a Bronze Fog, just to guarantee we get our Foglets out of the deck, and that is also an important aspect. You really want to play your Wild Hunt Riders and your Foglets on the first turn to make sure that none of your draws are blocked by drawing some of those. I'm trying out Nithril here, also not a requirement, and he's proven to be a little underwhelming. He can be useful at times, but definitely not worth crafting him specifically for this deck. Gravehag is actually one of the silvers that could be really useful in here. So I would play her instead of Nithril, I think, or maybe instead of Merktebrake, but the dragon has also been quite good for me, even though I play him mostly for just 1 power, or her actually, even though I play her only for 1 power most of the time, since I would say 70% of the time the ranged row is actually fogged. So yeah, I would say let's go to the ladder and play some decks with it. If we may, please. It would be really nice if we could exit. Alright, I may just have to exit and restart the game here. Be right back. So something that I should mention before we hop onto the ladder is that since yesterday, the ranked gains are actually increased by quite a lot. So you actually can see people reaching up to 2600 right now, which is pretty awesome, and we're gaining a lot of points per one game and also losing more points per lost game, of course, but people are really racing up the ladder right now, and that feels a lot better. I've gained 2 ranks since then. Actually, that's a lie. I did... No, that's actually true. I reached 1700 and then I decided to just push through and reach rank 7, and I've been reasonably close to rank 8 already, but unfortunately losing streaks happen and I fell back down, but that's just the way it goes now. You rise, you fall, but progress does feel to be a lot more rewarding, which is quite a good thing. So let's see what we can find on the ladder right now. I haven't faced a lot of monster opponents, but I think against the Absorb deck we run a lot of weather, so we should be favored against other monster decks. Besides that, Skellige, despite the amount of grave robbery we've got going on here, it is not not that awesome of a matchup. So what I'm really looking for is basically the Foltest Swarm decks as well as the Scoia'tael ones. But let's see what we're looking for in our mulligans. Against Foltest, I like the Griffin, I like the Nithril with the Caranthir. Keeping 1 Wild Hunt Rider, which is nice. This is actually pretty much the perfect opener. I actually suggest we keep all of this, because we have 2 good gold cards. I don't have a fog actually, so let's mulligan this guy. We have a fog. This is perfect. We don't have any foglets. We only have 1 Wild Hunt Rider. This hand can only go downwards from here. I think the risk is too great of us just drawing a foglet and then mulliganing away the foglet for another Wild Hunt Rider, for example. That is a really early Baron. My, oh my. So we want to at least put equal on the board as he does. We are unable to, but we can Wild Hunt Rider here. We could actually Gaunter, which is not awful and allows us to Gales early. But we do also want to filter, so I'm guessing Wild Hunt Rider is still fine here. That does mean that we cannot really Gaunter right now. Expecting a demote here then. That is a really aggressive demote. That is really interesting. Anyway, so we want to fog, but that is also pretty much a given. We really want to steal that Baron at some point during this game, of course. Oh, I should have definitely considered playing the Nithril here. Well, just being a little silly here, I guess. Let's go for the Fog to make sure the Foglets are out of our deck and add a bit of power onto the board. Just make sure you're able to catch up in 1 card. That's the rule of thumb that still applies on the ladder. So demoting the Baron against a monster deck is a daring move indeed. I'm not sure I would recommend it to a friend, to be honest. And I'm liking the Nithril into Caranthir, I think. Because that gets the Frost out of the way, we probably won't need to Frost in future turns. And I think we really want to push for the first turn here, because it's likely that he doesn't have either Reaver Scouts or Redanian Elites in hand.
Death to the enemy!
This is looking really odd to me. Okay, let's see if he has removal for the Nithril here, because I'm thoroughly puzzled. I don't know what's going on here. I'm guessing it's just a really bad hand, which can happen, of course. But okay, so kills the Nithril. That's fine. The Mertebraka is going to be a problem, I think. So we don't want to kill that, which means we don't want to play the Gaunter, because Mertebraka might actually die, and we we don't want that to happen. But I'm thinking Caranthir is nice, although a Clear Skies could ruin our day. But that's an acceptable risk, I think. We have to take a little bit of risk. Frosting the front row is nice, and our future weather effects should be pretty safe if he clears skies here. So that is probably fine. If he doesn't clear skies, I think we're pretty safe to pass. Because we actually kind of don't want to... Well, I guess we could lacerate the melee row, which is not amazing. He must really have no Reaver Scouts, no Redanians, no... I'm not sure what's going on here. Alright, clear skies, so what happens now? We're still pretty close in power right now. We could Thunderbolt on the Wolves, which I don't hate. We could Weather again. I'm really scared of Geralt Igni at this point, so I'm a little hesitant to Gales here. Although it might just be our best option to Gales on the melee row. It's a little risky, but he doesn't have a lot of cards anymore. If he doesn't have a good start, then it's likely he actually has something like Igni on hand. Anything productive in his graveyard? Of course not. The Thunderbolt potion might just do it, I think. And let's just go all in. If he ignites the wolves, then that's still rather nasty. We still have the Gales to use with Gaunter, so that's nice. He probably has no more clears for our weather effect, so I would prefer to leave Aromancy as a last-ditch play. More of a desperation move, or to provoke a desperation move from him. If this is him playing Igni, then I guess that's fine. Oh, he does have a Reaver Scout. That is interesting. I am pretty sure he wouldn't run multiple First Light effects, so I'm pretty okay with using Weather here, I think. And that leaves me winning the round and being able to resurrect his Baron right away, which I really, really, really like. I think that's pretty important. The Lacerate is also not awful here, but I think I like the Frost. Actually pretty sure that he doesn't have an answer anymore. Playing the last Commando would give him 5 points, which is absolutely not enough. Yeah, I think I like this. Also, against Northern Realms, it's actually kind of important to not kill any important targets, especially in round 1, because right now he probably has at least a couple of medics in hand, which aren't really doing anything, and that is pretty important, because once they actually start resurrecting stuff, you gotta be at least a little worried. So Yennefer for buffing, alright, that doesn't give a lot of stuff. It should be enough to grab the lead, I think. Only barely. That is interesting. I don't hate lacerating the front row now. It looks like a really nice lacerate, but it does allow him to start medicing. Then again, they are all melee units, so they will be resurrected into the Frost again. So I think I'm pretty much in favor of that. Normally, I wouldn't recommend going all in like this against Northern Realms on the first round, because it does allow them to start their deck thinning, which can be a little bit of a problem, and can still be actually, because he does have a 9 power play. Actually, only a 9 power play here, with using Foltest on the Reaver Scout. Pulling the last 2 Reaver Scouts from his deck. So making a copy of the Reaver Scout and then spawning 2 more Reaver Scouts from his deck, that does allow him to thin, but he doesn't have another target to pull from his deck at last, so... Alright, well, if I have 2 targets to resurrect, then I guess that's reasonable, but he did use the Nenneke here. So the only way to resurrect Yennefer at this point is going to be Shani. And I think I would rather grab... I'm pretty sure I would rather grab Baron than Yennefer. Although I could be wrong about that. I could actually resurrect Nithrol, and that's the only reasonable target, actually. But that's fine. Grabbing Nithrol with Baron plus Caretaker, that's a good chunk of power for round 2. Probably good enough. I might be inclined to use Gaunter here to have another target to resurrect, so that's... but using that first turn next round... Oh, it's actually my turn. Holy cow. Did I intend to pass there?
Close ranks!
What did he do last turn? Oh, he used the Nenneke. Okay, alright, right. I was a little confused at that point. But if he wins this, I guess this is fine. We'll get to keep a reasonably sized minion on the board. I was really waiting for him to start his turn for some reason, but yeah, I think that was a correct pass. I'm not really sure because he did get to filter, and now he probably has a few medics in hand. But he did use 2 more cards than we did, and we get to keep a minion on the board. So he doesn't have a lot of great plays available, and we still get to go first to last round and reanimate his Baron. So I think I'm okay with that. We also have a decoy for his tenants here, so that's good. A little worried about his potential still, but I think we'll be okay. Let's start with the Woodland Spirit. So he can... Oh, that means he actually can get a good Yennefer, because we'll have a lot more units in play than he does. Let's make him commit a little more first. That is not a bad target to pull at first. I'll be completely honest, that is actually probably the best target. Myrtebrake not incredible here though, so I'm kind of okay with that. I'm not really sure about the decoy there, but I think we'll be okay. This is a hard decision for him. I don't blame him for taking his sweet time. So reanimated the Myrtebrake anyway. So yeah, that's a pretty good play. I can certainly see this work. But we do have the Woodland Spirit. He's used his Baron, so he cannot force the Yennefer out of his graveyard. So I think we're reasonably safe in playing the Woodland Spirit here and just seeing what he does. We do have to win this round, mind you. And giving him Igni value is also a little tentative, unfortunately. His decoy on the Lubberkin. Well, that sucks. There's gonna be a Yennefer then in that case, which means that I actually want to play Stennis here, which also makes sense since he's already used his decoy. So yeah, that is okay. Let's see what we can grab here. Oh, we could actually have used the Griffin to remove the Yennefer from his graveyard, which would have been a much better idea, of course, but. You always just realize that right after the fact, don't you? I know I do. I do that all the time. But removing the Yennefer would have, of course, been the right play. Because the only thing we're worried about with him reviving with the Lubberkin is going to be Yennefer. So yeah, that was a little awful. He does kill a couple of his own units here. Which, do we care about that? Well, we do care about it since he's got a decent board presence right now. But we do have the Myrtebrake to finish up, and the Gaunter also swings for 12, which almost cleans it up for us. Are we worried about any targets in his graveyard? Mostly the Myrtebrake, actually, but... So Myrtebrake is a 10. But we really want to use Gaunter here to be able to Gales afterwards, right? So let's go with Gaunter. maybe kill some of his medics, which could be good, and we'll see what happens now. Yeah, I'm not really sure about that pass in the first round, but that was really silly. I was really caught up in talking about what to do that round, and then I kind of forgot it was my turn already. Oh, he's playing an Annika. Yeah, that's really interesting, and this is what we're gonna do the next turn. Well, so the plan is to Gale's next turn. If he wants to Igni that, then that's probably okay. Well, it's actually not okay. I'm hoping he doesn't have it. But we can fight through that, I think. I think we have enough resources to fight through Geralt Igni at this point, so we should just try that. Could be worried about the Shani into Murktabraka, I guess. Okay, well this is also interesting. We should definitely play our weakest card now and remove... I guess we remove the Murktabraka here? He doesn't have... I really want to remove Yennefer, but that's not gonna happen, is it? He's not gonna allow that to happen anyway. So I guess we Griffin... We don't have any good target... Oh, we do have a good target to resurrect with the Baron in Gaunter, and then we can Gale's next turn. That's actually excellent. So let's not play that now. That's gonna be my first play in the next turn. So Griffin... taking away Murktabraka gives us the win for this round, perhaps even keeping something good. If we keep Gaunter, that's actually really awkward. Oh well. Actually, yeah, keeping Gaunter kinda sucks. But we're going first. Maybe he'll kill Gaunter, maybe we kill him ourselves. I'm actually really confused right now. Maybe we just steal Yennefer. If he resurrects Baron with Shani, what can he get that hurts us? I should really grab Baron here, don't I? Do I have any good... Oh, I can resurrect Griffin now. Okay, that solves the problem. That absolutely solves the problem. So, we resurrect Baron. And then with the Lubberkin, we resurrect the Griffin, if we can find it in time, that would be nice. Hello? And the Griffin removes... Graveyards are so big! Removes... Yennefer. There we go. So we've removed most of his power plays right now. So the best he can Shani right now is probably... I don't even know. There's a Chironex in his graveyard that will hurt us a little bit. It's not too impressive. So I think this is pretty nice. He does have one medic left.
Nice mess you've got here.
Or he's just going to go for most gold stuff. That makes sense, but... we don't have a good Gales at all, but I think we'll be able to live. Oh my gosh, if he has Igni, I'm still screwed, am I not? Let's Murktabraka. No, we really can't Murktabraka here. We can Murktabraka next turn, maybe. I kind of want to Murktabraka to hurt my own minions, to not get blown out by Igni as his last card. And now we can, so that's good. So that means we're killing... I think we just don't want to get blown out. So in that case we kill this, and we hurt two of our own units. Because if that card is Igni, then that's the only way he can win.
Death to the enemy!
Okay, that is not Igni, and we still have the lead. Great! There was a way I lost there, but I can't think of it. So that was a good game, alright. Still not sure... Oh my gosh, 59 rating, that's pretty good, Okay, so let's keep this up, and let's see if we can reach 2100 here. That would be sweet. But the deck does require some thinking and some maneuvering in order to not get blown out by your opponent, and that is the main thing you should be worried about with this deck. Okay, here we go.
Up and at 'em, lazy mingers! You'll sleep when you're dead.
So Skellige is not as good a matchup as you would think with 2 Griffins and a Caretaker in your deck, which is really strange, but surprisingly accurate, I'm afraid. So what are we looking for in the mulligan here? Lacerate's pretty good, actually. I don't know. I don't know what we're looking for. I guess we're looking for Griffin. So let's throw this guy away. We get a fog. Okay, so searching for a fog is also important. I think this Aeromancy is going to be a rain. So I'm pretty happy with the Woodland Spirit here. I think I'm going to keep this again. We're getting some pretty amazing starting hands here, and I don't want to run the risk of drawing a Foglet or a Wild Hunt Rider that I can't throw away anymore. So this is looking pretty great. First round play most likely Woodland Spirit. Probably into, oh well, maybe not Woodland Spirit then. We could actually expect him to pass pretty soon, which is a bit of an oddball strategy, but one we did employ in our Skellige gameplay a little while back. I shouldn't expect to get too much value out of the Donar anyway, so let's just Woodland Spirit and see what we can do. Geralt Igni, usually not played in Skellige, so we could also go for the Gales on the ranged row. But we could actually expect a Burna here and then a pass, maybe. In case people are employing the CML strategy, or the strategy of the early pass, which we showcased in the Herald video. I'm a big fan of it, but not a lot of people have started incorporating it. So this is probably fine. Drawing an extra Wild Hunt Rider is actually not awful if you have Nithril in hand. So I think I'm okay with this. Getting a free round 1, of course, doesn't really mean too much. Keeping a Foglet, well, that's just standard. I've been told that when you play this deck, you should just expect to not get any value out of your monster passive whatsoever. So I'm pretty happy with the results regardless. We can make his life miserable for just a little bit by using Mithril along with the Wild Hunt Riders, and I think that's okay. So let's go for that. Also makes his next turn Ogfist really awkward, so that's another upside, I guess. Because he can't really play Ogfist here, because he knows we probably have a Wild Hunt Rider in hand. And I certainly wouldn't mind killing that before it enters the board. So that's a little awkward for him, actually. I like this a lot. I like this a lot more than I thought I would. So let's see what the plan is for our opponent. An empty Clan Shieldsmith. I'm okay with this. Let's place the riders, kill the Shieldsmith. Maybe resurrecting a Shieldsmith now, or perhaps he doesn't expect a Coranth here and just place the Ogfist. That could also be a good one. I'm really expecting Ogfist here at this point. And the good thing is, as soon as he plays the Ogfist, we either kill it or we just pass. So that's a luxury we have because he gave us the early pass on the first round. So we can just do that in return. Drawing the decoy in round 2 is a little awkward because he's already used his Donar, but that shouldn't be too much of a deterrent. He's having a tough turn here, and I can't blame him. Rallies a Priestess into a Shieldsmith. That's actually decent. And that should give him some room to play Ogfist if he has the card in hand. I'm thinking we should actually Avalach at this point. Are there any cards that he doesn't want to draw? I don't think so. That's one of the upsides from that deck, that most of your cards are actually cards you want to draw, in comparison to most decks currently on ladder, who actually want to filter out many cards from their deck. But he did use a First Light to rally, which means he quite possibly can't deal with our rain in the last turn, so I'm liking that. Let's play Avalach here, just to make sure we don't have that in hand in the last turn. Those are some really good draws, so I'm pretty happy with that. And we kinda want to play Corinthier here just to kind of force out some more cards from him, because that's a pretty big tempo play.
But she brooks no insult.
Alright, just wants to remove stuff from the graveyard as soon as possible. I can't blame him for that. But we've got the Griffin, we've got the Caretaker for next round, so that's pretty nice. Could go for the Lacerate, but that's a little unimpressive right now, I feel. Playing Corinthier does give him a lot of value from his Herald, but I think that's actually okay. So what do we want to do here? I'm thinking it's still going to be Corinthier, right? Might make our Lacerate a little weaker, but I think it's actually okay. Just getting some value out of it right now. It's basically 18 value, which is pretty sick. Some decent targets. I may actually not want to kill anything that's on the board right now, because that just gives him the opportunity to resurrect them. Maybe I at least want to pretend that I'm racing him. That could be a decent option. If he weathers, I pass, I think. Well, unless he just frosts. That's really odd. Okay, well, that's basically a blank card, so I'm pretty happy with that. In that case, do we just Lacerate his Row? I don't want to, that's the main issue here. We could Commander's Horn and make him deal with it. He's going to need a Coral and then a Coral and Art. That does wipe us off the board, but not really liking that. I don't want to kill anything of his, that's the problem. He needs to spend one card to beat us here, which he definitely has. Well, let's Lacerate, let's let him resurrect some stuff. And maybe we get to steal something with the Griffin. Just make him put some effort into this round, basically. Because we don't want to expend any resources, but we sure want to make sure that he expends his resources, because we're going to need to win on that in the last round. Pretty happy he's already used his Frost, by the way, because that means that we can Gales on Gaunter's minions, perhaps. Place the Sigurd Rifa, so that means we can use that for ourselves next round, which is pretty sweet. And we have a second Lacerate to make his life even more miserable, so that's cool. No units in his graveyard. But we don't really care too much about that, do we? I'm thinking the Lacerate is pretty good here. We can at least put up the pretense of a fight. So I'm okay with this. He wants to keep resurrecting his stuff to prevent us from stealing it, but we're just wasting his time, basically. And now he actually has to play some valuable units. Actually, one thing that hadn't occurred to me yet is that none of his units are weather immune. So we can just eventually Aromancy to wipe everything away, which is pretty nice. To have that ability. Do I want to invest more here? I really don't care about the Priestess in his graveyard, because that does basically nothing when he revives it. I'm seriously considering Commander's Hoarding right now, and I think I actually will. Because that either forces the Coral plus Art from him, or will force him to really overextend right now. And it doesn't add additional minions to the board for him to use his Herald on, so that's also a big plus in my opinion. He's used two skulls right now. I guess he's reused the skull since one came from the graveyard. No, we haven't killed the skulls yet, so... Or have we? I don't really remember at this point. I guess we have, haven't we? So this is going to be really awkward for him. One thing we do have to be careful of is actually being able to win the last round, but since... Oh, actually he's going first in the last round. So in that case, what we want to force here is him actually renewing... Oh, a decoy, hey? How about that? So he has Sigurd Rifa, but he can only reanimate a priestess with it at this point, so we definitely don't want to kill anything important of his. Herald at the moment deals 14 damage to our board. Coral plus Art deals with the board quite nicely, but he hasn't used that yet, so 14 damage means he goes up to 40, so he has to spend 2 more cards. Are we okay with that is the main question. And I think we are actually okay with that. So this looks like a decent pass. Or we Aeromancy at this point. Let's actually Aeromancy here. Let's see if he has the answer. He probably has the Clear Skies here, but we're, as we said, we're kind of just wasting his time. And otherwise he could have used the Clear Skies to do something useful. Again, we kind of don't want to add stuff to the board, but I would like to make use of my decoy to force out more cards from him. So I think Morktabraka is fine here as long as we don't kill anything important. We can kill the priestess. I think I like that idea, because we're not adding any new options to his graveyard. And we are reducing the amount of minions he has on the board. So he knows he has to Herald at some point, so he's considering to use it now. And that means we can decoy Morktabraka and then sit on our remaining minions for the rest of the round, which I don't hate. So he has the Sigurd Rifa in hand, but he has no useful targets to use them on, which is a pretty nice situation to be in. And he has to use her either the first turn of the next round, so right away. Ooh, okay, well, that's interesting. Does he know we're sitting on a decoy, trying to make that happen? I'm okay with the pass now, because he can herald for 14 damage, but he still needs to add another 12 to the board, which Sigurd Rifa can do. I don't know what other card. He has to play 2 longships, for example. I think I'm okay with that. Yeah, this is looking pretty good, I'd say. I'm pretty sure he can do, well, Coral plus Art would do it, but then he saves Herald for the last turn, which is kind of awkward, because we don't have a lot of minions anymore now. I think this was okay. I'm sorry for the really slow game. Multiple slow games actually today, but yeah, if he Coral plus Arts here, then I'm fine with that. So that does wreck our board, but it removes the threat of it for the next round. I guess it does mean we don't get to keep anything. So that's something. But he has Herald, which is kind of a weak play. And we get to leech at the very least 1 creature from his graveyard, which is good. Not entirely sure about this, but so he uses Ogfist, all right. So I guess he gets to use that multiple times this round, doesn't he? So does that mean he gets to play the last card? No, that just gives him 1 extra card, I think. That's fine. We can make an attempt to kill that with the Gaunter, and I think I might actually do that, using Gaunter early to kind of force out the Herald. I think I like that. We can always steal a Priestess, so we don't need to do that right away. Depending on what he does, we can make a decision to Griffin something. So hurting the Ogfist here, perhaps making an effort to pretend we have another Lacerate or perhaps a Shroom in hand, which can deal with that for now. But we're mostly setting up for decent KLs here. He could have he could have Restore, so we may actually want to... We may actually want to Griffin or Caretaker next round. I think I would like that. We could Donor if we... Do we have a Fog? I don't think we have a Fog, right? No. So that means Donor would give him full value, which means we actually might not want to do that. What is a target we would like to resurrect from our own graveyard? We basically just have Mithril, and that's kind of it. So a little awkward at that, and he's building up a nice board that I kinda didn't expect. If he has Restore, what can he do? If he has Restore, he grabs the Priestess and another Scald. That's actually quite terrible. So maybe we should get rid of the Scald or the Priestess at this point. I'm guessing actually the Scald. So that is interesting. Let's actually remove. No, we can still remove stuff afterwards. We want to resurrect the Scald for ourselves, but we're not getting any great value out of that. I guess that's kind of okay. We're just stealing the Scald at this point, just so he doesn't use it for himself. And then we can decoy the Scald, actually. That's really cool. Would that be better value than using it on Gaunter? It actually might be. So yeah, that is the target we're most scared of right now. Oh, he has a Commander's Horn. That's ugly. Okay, that is a lot of value, I will have to admit. So he gets the Ogfist back after he's used all his cards, so it removes the buff from that. What's going to be his last card? Is that a Restore still? In that case, I kind of want to remove the Priestess out of the equation, I think. I do think that is correct. So let's remove the Priestess right now. Just so he doesn't get an additional target for free. I'm not sure we're making the right plays here, but I kind of didn't expect the Commander's Horn and I should have. Alright, so I'm guessing the play here... Oh, actually, that is kind of awkward because Ogfist is going to trigger next turn and it's going to kill all the little shadows here. So we may want to Gales first and then afterwards return the Scald or return the Gaunter. The Scald is giving us, it's a 6, so it's a 12 and Gaunter is also a 12, so it doesn't really matter, I guess. Oh, he gets the choice of playing Ogfist still. Well, I guess we're taking this risk anyway, because otherwise we're losing the targets to use it on. So, does have an Igni. That is really awkward. You usually don't see an Art and an Igni in the same deck, so I was not expecting that. I think we lost, right? Yeah, we lost. Was not expecting Art and Igni. Well, what is he cutting for that? I guess he's not using Yalmar or something like that, and that is definitely cuttable. So that makes a lot of sense. That was a high-ranked opponent then, wasn't it? Well, he was rank 8, so that kind of makes sense. Because we didn't lose a lot of rating for that game, which kind of surprised me. We're running really late here. Wow, I'm really overthinking these games, which I which I should apologize for because this video has been going on for a long time. But I really want to play another game here. So let's see another Foltest. All right, level 45, sir. I salute you. Okay, so actually some decisions, well, some non-decisions to be made during mulligans. You always want to mulligan the Foglet first, because that's definitely one you don't want to see in your starting hand. I'm thinking throwing away the Ancient Foglet. I do like the Fog, despite us having the Woodland Spirit. I'm not sure, actually. But blacklisting the Ancient Foglet is valuable, I think, so let's throw away the Fog now. That is a risk worth taking, I think. Sometimes that happens. We could take some additional risk by not playing the Wild Hunt Riders this turn, because the risk is only drawing our last one, which is a 1 out of 12 times 2. I'm not sure whether that's worth the risk. So let's use Gales here and then stick to the usual strategy for battling against Northern Realms, which is to just pass right now. He can generate a lot of. Do we? We can also Gaunter. We can Gaunter and hope to kill the Reaver Scout, which kind of messes him up anyway. It's probably not worth it, to be honest. It's probably not worth it because then he can just medic and do the same thing regardless. If he gets the final Redanian, then that means he has 24, 25. He has to spend 2 cards to catch up to us, I think. Because all the Reaver Scouts will be in the fog, so I don't think he can catch up in 1 card. And we don't want to give him too much time to filter through his deck right now. So this is going to be barely off of being enough to beat us. Which is exactly where we want him. He has to spend another card, he doesn't want to spend another card. So awkward times for him. Hopefully we get to keep a wolf, but as I've said before, just don't expect to keep anything and then you'll be pleasantly surprised sometimes. And then let's see if we can beat him during the next rounds. We spent less resources, but he did get to set up some nice medic chains with all the Reaver Scouts here. So we did get a nice little present. I'm happy with that. Did draw the Fog, so we could go for the Ancient Foglet into Fog, which sounds nice, actually. I am all for that, I think.
Are you certain?
The Caranthir is also nice. We definitely don't want to kill that. He's already played one of these, right? So I'm not that scared of it right now. And he's hoping to trigger this with the triple Redanian elites, which might be a little optimistic. We also have Aromancy, so we can reduce the Redanians to almost nothing. I like that. Let's go with the Ancient Foglet for now, and see how we're winning this round. Okay, so I guess that one does grab both of the commandos right away. So that's an excuse to go for Yennefer right away, and as well as her being a decent target to depromote, to demote. There we go. 32 on the board, but some of that is easily reduced by Frost, so Caranthir would be a decent play here. Reducing him to almost nothing, but yeah, actually, he's kind of obliged to get rid of that as soon as possible. But I was considering using the Fog first, but he doesn't really care about Fog right now. So he wouldn't clear the Fog anyway. Okay, well he's playing into the Frost, which is nice. Almost exactly what we were hoping for. Not sure what the best way to continue from here is. I kind of want this this Wild Hunt Rider out of my deck. So that is a good way to stall for a turn, I think. Because we kind of don't want to commit too much. Returns... What was that card again? Was that a Redanian or do I forget? Oh, that's Priscilla, of course. There we go. Okay, so he stalls for a turn, we stall for a turn, that's okay. Don't want to commit too much onto the board, because neither does he. So in that case, Fog is probably okay. Gaunter might mess him up a little bit if he has... I think I like the Gaunter just to mess him up a little bit if he has the Clear Skies in hand. Just to mess up his graveyard a little bit. Fest doesn't matter anymore, so that's okay. Just making his medics a little more awkward. And that is a fine target to decoy, to stall for another turn. So that's definitely okay, especially since he's already used his decoy. So fine with that. I wonder whether those decks also run Lacerate nowadays. Oh, this is going to be another long one, isn't it? Well, that was a nasty Lacerate, but it does improve our monster passive for next turn, so I kinda like that. Do we want to give him Stennis back into his graveyard? Well, that's a risk we're gonna have to take. I really want to stall for a turn here. Murktabrakas, nice. Good draw. Alright, let's see how long he wishes to take this one. Because we are ahead in card advantage right now. We have got some awkward cards in hand. Alright, he passes. That means we get to keep a good unit for the next round, so that's rather nice. But not all of our cards are that impressive, unfortunately. He did not manage to demote anything of utmost importance, so that's a good thing. We don't have anything to mess with his graveyard though, so we may want to use Avalach first. Actually, we're going first. That means we're playing the first card. So he plays his last card, then we play our second to last card. If we play Avalach as the very last card, then we get to draw 2 cards and he doesn't get to play his last card. So if we can maintain that, that's actually really good for us. I think that's worth a try. So let's go with Foglets first. We can mess him up enough that I think that is a reasonable option, and I hope I'm actually right here.
Don't interest me.
As long as he doesn't resurrect Stennis, that is an option for us, and I think it's worth seeing whether he wants to resurrect the Stennis. So let's try for that one. He didn't clear the weather earlier, so that makes me think he doesn't have it. Of course, that could change during the match, but we'll have to see that. Does he resurrect Stennis? If he resurrects Stennis here, then I'm certainly going Avalach, because that is the only reason I was keeping him. So this is fine. We trade Spy for Spy.
At last.
Although mine is not reduced to 0 by weather, unfortunately. But this does allow us to highly probably, play the last card this round, which is really good. Thunderbolt Potion, not awful. Surprisingly not awful. As long as he doesn't clear the weather, though. So we may want to leave that until pretty late. There is still the Yennefer in his graveyard, and we didn't draw a Griffin or a Caretaker, so that makes me want to reduce the amount of stuff on his board. Although if he Yennefer for pluses, if he makes a Unicorn, then we do get to keep our Foglets, so that's rather nice. I think this game will hinge on us being able to keep a big board versus getting some good lacerates off on him. But we'll see about that. I was considering using Murktabrakas to kill his medics here, basically. Just to reduce the amount of stuff on his board, but that's kind of a waste, because I can now lacerate them. Or we should strongly consider the possibility, yeah, I do want to reduce the amount of stuff on his board, and it doesn't look like... I'm considering what I'm going to use Aromancy for, and I don't know. Because Frost also hurts Stennis here. But Siege... Actually, it's most likely going to be Siege, let's be fair. So in that case, we are free to lacerate the front row. We don't care about killing his medics. And if he Yennefers here, then that's probably fine. So kind of worried about him having clear skies still. But I don't think there's really any way of us preventing that, is there? I don't think so. In this case, let's kill Nenneke and clean up that thing by just a little bit. Because Nenneke is a safe target to kill. This is making the Yennefer into Chiron X a little more appealing, which I'm kind of worried about, but then again, there's not much we can do to prevent that, unfortunately. Is he going to Chiron X? I don't know. I really don't know what... I think it's a Wish-Wash. So he's making a Chiron X, which means that we can actually Aromancy for Fog to get our Foglets back. Which is probably the right play in this case. Not really sure what to expect still from him, but his siege row doesn't really look too appealing to weather. And we do actually care about our foglets enough to do this, I think. We do need to get some value out of our Commander's Horn after all. Do we need to do this right now, or can we waste a Lacerate on only 6 damage? I think we kinda should. So let's hope he doesn't have a Clear Skies. But Clear Skies just doesn't do enough right now. I mean, Frost doesn't do enough. Demotes Baron, I'm not sure what he's trying to accomplish with that, but we do get a decent Lacerate now, so that makes me happy. And then let's see what his last card is. That's going to be Shani, isn't it? What can he resurrect with Shani? He can find the last commando. And then I think... Okay, he doesn't have any anything ignoble, so that means we can finish up with the potion. And we don't even need our Commander's Horn, unless I'm missing something. I don't think so. Alright! That was a tight one. but good game regardless. That second game was also really really tight, so good games overall. Really happy to play some exciting games today. No disconnections, I'm really happy with that. In each case, let me thank you very much for watching this episode. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.